whatever you guys are following, just make sure that you follow the same thing from the same institution. Don't follow number of things from number of institution. Just rely on one source itself.
Is it a thing that one template may work for a certain type of students and it may not work for other kind of students?
I had this student, she was studying online and from different institute, and in speaking module she used to always get 55, 56, she was aiming for 65. When she came in, I highlighted her weak points. I said, you have problem with sir and sure. How to pronounce that is also the issue that many people actually face. And she was shocked. She was like, no one actually gave me this advice.
What's the most silly thing you can do in the exam and lose scores? Like so little,
that's going
but
to
can
impact.
have a huge impact on the scores. Guys, welcome to EnglishWise podcast. Today we have Ruby Waraich with us. 5 years teaching at EnglishWise, 3,000 plus students taught, someone who's really experienced. There are students out there who want training just from Ruby because she has wealth of knowledge and experience when it comes to PTE. But today, you don't have to pay anything. You're going to get all that knowledge for free here on this podcast. Welcome, Ruby. How are you feeling today?
Thank you so much, Shivi, for a great introduction. I'm very excited today and hope for the best.
Yeah. Ruby, my first question to you would be, how has the journey been for you so far? Like 5 years, you've come across so many students. What have you learned personally the most about students? Like one trait which you see the most among most of your students before they go and sit for the test?
I would say the amazing trait that I have seen among students out there is their confidence, because now people are very confident when it comes to PT. Those days are gone where people used to feel like, that it's a very hard test. They cannot, they cannot do it. But considering the fact that they have watched so many YouTube videos out there, they're very confident about it. And some people get the score, with that confidence. So I usually say to all my students, see, it's not the examiner who's going to check your score at the end of the day. It's actually the computer. So you don't need to be nervous. For computer, everyone's level is 90 and it depends on us on how we perform out there. So yeah, so the confidence is the most important thing.
Yeah, I agree. However, at the same time, I also feel because there is so much content out there, there's so many YouTube videos, there's so many PT softwares. We have a PT software.
That's right.
Sometimes too much information can be an issue.
Yes.
So what would be your advice to a student who has done the test many times, or even for someone who's going to do it for the first time and there's so much information out there? How do you filter that information? How do you know what's going to work for me?
Okay, that's actually a very great question, and that many students actually suffer from this thing nowadays. They have like so much content on YouTube. They don't know what to follow, what not to follow. But usually I give only one suggestion to all the students. Whatever you are following, just follow one particular source out there. If you're following one particular institution, follow that. I have many students who take one template from one institute, second template from another institute. They take essay template from the third institute and they ask me whether this is gonna work out or not. So whatever you guys are following, just make sure that you follow the same thing from the same institution. Don't follow number of things from number of institution. Just rely on one source itself.
I cannot agree more than what you said. Absolutely right. You got to follow one particular strategy. But how can students be sure about who to follow? Because there are so many trainers out there. There are so many institutes out there. There's so many softwares, as I said, YouTubers out there. How do you know who to follow?
I would say that the YouTube videos and the applications out there should be the secondary knowledge, just the additional knowledge. The trainers out there, the so-called most experienced trainers out there. I'm not talking only about EnglishWise, but there are other institutions as well where they have the experienced trainer. I would say that your first thing is to go to an experienced trainer out there if you guys don't want to waste your money by giving the test again and again. So the first thing that they need to do is to go with an experienced trainer. Second thing is always ask on your very first day, whenever you're meeting someone, like, I want to get my desired score, and whenever you're doing the consultation with the trainer out there, always ask, what is my level according to you, and how much time it's gonna take for me to get my desired score. So that will give you the idea that, okay, this is the time I'm gonna get it, and I will get the score, for example, let's say in 1 month's time. Now, whatever the institute that you're going to, you have to follow the strategies and template of that institute. Now, once you got that, then the secondary thing comes in where people post YouTube videos on grammar and another strategy, how to do repeat sentences or how to do write from dictation. I would suggest that should be the secondary thing. Now, coming back to the software thing, now I have people relying 100% on one particular software. Not any software is going to give you 100% accuracy except the PTE exam.
There you go.
So you should not rely 100% on any software. Of course, 80% you should rely, but not 100%. I'll give you one example. I had this student, he was getting like 80 in speaking from one of the particular software, and he was saying, look, I'm getting this result, but whenever I'm giving the exam, I'm not even getting 65. So what should I do? So I gave him the feedback. I was like, okay, this is the thing that you should do. But he said, okay, whenever I'm following your feedback, the software doesn't give me the score.
There you go.
Okay. And whenever I practice with my strategy, I get 85, 90. Then I told him, look, whenever you're practicing with your strategy, you're getting 90, but in the exam, you're not getting it. So there is actually a missing link out there that you're not understanding.
My following question would be, how do you justify the student that the software they're using and the strategy they are using in particular is not right when the software is giving them the right score? So in this particular example that you gave, you are giving a feedback to a student, you're asking the student to do something else on the software, but this student is doing something else and still getting the score. So how do you come to that conclusion? Convince, and how do you come to that conclusion that what I am advising
is right or not? Okay. First of all, I know it's for people out there, it's very hard to believe when you have a software and when there is a particular experienced person, giving you the advice that you need to follow this and you're not getting the score in the software. So it's very hard for them to convince, first of all. Now, the thing that I usually do is whenever, for example, let's say I have in one branch 50 students. Out of those 50 students, I have 35 to 40 students on hand. I have control over them. They follow me religiously, no matter what. Okay, so number one, it's not because I'm the trainer and they follow me, because I have also got 8 each. I also got 8 each previously, and I scored 9 each after that as well, because my scores were expired. Then again I did it. So with the 2-hour exam that came in, again I did it because my scores were expired. Then I got 9 each. So I have that experience and I know exactly how the AI software actually works and how the AI will give us the score. So when I talk to those 35 to 40 students, I give them the feedback based on how the AI will actually judge them. Okay.
Correct.
And I have done the trial and error with the student. For example, let's say the student is not getting score in extended speaking. Now, this was the most common thing that people out there were not getting 3 to 6 months ago. They were not getting the score in extended speaking. You might have heard, I'm not getting the score in extended speaking. What should I do? So that was the point. So I had this student who actually went to number of institutions out there, and he just came to me and he was aiming for 8 each and he was not getting the score in extended speaking. Number one, the template was working fine at that time. There was no problem with the template. His pronunciation was also good. His content was also good. So when I actually listened to his speaking, what I observed was he was speaking very fast. So I told him, look, everything is fine with you. You don't need to worry. You don't need to change anything. The template is working perfectly fine. What you do is this time you just reduce your speed a little bit. So for example, let's say whatever he was in the describe image template, whatever the template was, after every sentence, I told him to take a significant pause. When I told him to take a significant pause after every sentence, he used to get 70. After that, he got 90. Wow. And students out there, they actually saw him because he was, studying at the center at the same time. And they got the confidence in me as well. Okay, the madam is telling him something and he actually did it and he got the score. So that's how the belief system come in. And he was very happy at that time as well because his extended speaking from like going to 0, it went to 100%. So that's how I would say the base comes in. That's how all our, techniques and strategies come in.
I'm going to say this is like experience over AI. So yes, there's a technology out there, there's softwares out there, but nothing can beat the experience. If you are in touch with an experienced trainer, what you're going to learn, what you're going to get taught is exceptional. It's something that you can't find on internet because it comes from experience. This topic brings me to my next question. How much does it matter with the templates, considering there are different nationalities sitting for the exam? Is it a thing that one template may work for a certain type of students and it may not work for other kind of students, or one template will work for every student irrespective of where they come from, how their speaking styles are?
Okay, that's actually a very great question. And I actually come across many of the students like this from different nationalities. For example, Indians, Pakistanis, Nepalese, and Europeans. Now, Asian countries are different, but the European countries are way different than us. Their way of speaking is completely different. So I would say the answer to that question is yes. I give different templates to every nationality depending on how they actually perform and how they actually speak. I'll give you one example. Now, Nepalese students, I won't say everyone, but most of the Nepalese students have problem with s, sh, j, and z sound. Okay, so based on that, I actually alter the template and give it to them. Okay, so with image, they don't say image, they say image. Z sound. So that's the pronunciation problem with them. When as compared to European countries, they have problem with I, E, O, U. They say imagey. Okay, so that's the difference, and based on that I alter the template. So that is about speaking. Now with the listening template that we have, I usually alter the template based on how good are they in spellings. If they are good in spellings, they can write more content. If they are not good in spellings, I will give them such kind of template where they don't need to write that much of the content but can still get the points. So that's how we alter the template based on different nationalities.
That's not to offend anybody, but every nationality has a natural style.
Yeah.
There are some pronunciation ways and how certain words are spoken. So it is important that you adjust and get properly coached for the PT exam, because the way you're going to get assessed is different. So how you speak at home may not work when you are going for the speaking test in the exam, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, that's right. The way you actually prepare. I had this student, she was studying online and from different institute, and those were recorded sessions they used to give, and they used to conduct the feedback session. Now with the feedback session, they used to give her the, they used to have a particular template, I would say, and they would give the same feedback to her, and she was not knowing where she was actually going wrong. And in speaking module, she used to always get 55, 56. She was aiming for 65. When she came in, I highlighted her weak points. I said, you have problem with sir and sure. How to pronounce that? That is also the issue that many people actually face. So I told her to roll her tongue properly, how it needs to be done from inside the mouth exercises. They need to widely open their mouth and speak. If they're not widely opening their mouth and speaking, the pronunciation will not be clear. And she was shocked. She was like, no one actually gave me this advice, or no one actually pointed this mistake. I was not knowing. I was like, I was doing brilliantly, and I was actually, telling the person actually takes the money and they're not giving me the score.
Which is not the case.
Yes, right. So she was not knowing that the problem that she was facing, but now she knows and she got the score.
Fantastic. I'm quite curious about a scenario where students leave the test until the last moment. They don't prepare, and they are suddenly in a situation where their visa is expiring and they got a call from an agent and tells them, you know what, you got to get your PT done ASAP. You got 2 weeks. If you don't get it done, you are in big trouble. Now, in this situation, I personally feel you cannot avoid stress. You can't tell a student, don't be stressed.
That's right.
You are going to get stressed. That's a fact. So how can you prepare the student when the student is in that particular situation where there's a lot of pressure, he or she is stressed, and there is no other way. There's a time limit and they need to get the score.
Yeah.
How would you prepare that sort of student?
Actually come across few students like this. I would say last month itself, when the government actually changed the rules and they said that they need 6.5 overall in TR. So I actually came across these type of students. Now, of course, we cannot take their stress. They're naturally stressed. Whenever they come in, first thing that I usually do is assessment. Okay. I usually do a short assessment. I check what is their level. Okay, so whenever the students say I need 6 each or 6.5 overall, I usually say, okay, you will get it, but let me first check your level. I take a 10 minutes of assessment. After that, I usually let them know whether they are able to crack it in 2 weeks time or 1 month time, because if I am not clear, they will not have a proper idea. Now, let's say, for example, the student wants it 1 month's time. They just have 1 month's time and they want 6.5 overall anyhow. They're missing by few points. Now, usually my students are not stressed. I'll tell you why. Because there's one sentence I usually tell them. You just need to do one thing. You just need to come at the institute and leave everything onto me. Okay? You just need to believe whatever I say, follow religiously whatever I say, and leave everything onto me. Your work is to just come at the institute, sit over there and just follow me religiously, and rest everything else will fall into place.
Fantastic. I mean, if someone tells me, leave everything onto me, which is usually not the case, but I can imagine it just suddenly. Yes,
that releases their stress, and they're not usually, they will not be stressed. So that's how the human nature actually works. And it's not like that I just say it for the sake of saying it. You will hear from many of my students out there. They usually call me during weekend as well. When are you going to come? So that we know you're there. And they are satisfied. Okay, this person is sitting over here. Whatever she's going to say, if we follow it, we are going to get the score. So that's the confidence and that's the belief system that we usually put in with all our students out there.
Fantastic. Sometimes students are quite confused as to how they should prepare for PT. It's a broad question I'm asking, but can you just talk about 3 main tools they need to pick up and they can prepare for PTE, and it will ensure that they will get the score? Like, what are those 3 most important tools / things that they can do, and success is assured?
Yeah. So the first thing that I would say is that you need to know the PT pattern, how the PT pattern actually works.
And how, like, where can they go to find the pattern again? Because there's so much information.
There are so many softwares out there.
Which one to go for? Where?
The most reliable one, if you want to go for, then just go to pearson.com, I would say.
Right.
So that's the most reliable one that you can always
We're talking about the mock test,
we are talking about the information
from the official website.
Yes, from the official website they can get.
So one is pattern, and
yes,
then
one is the pattern.
One?
Second is the mock test. Pearson PT actually has the official scored mock test, and their AI and the PT exam AI is all pretty much similar. So if you want to get the accurate score, you can always do the mock test from their website. And the third one is, I know that everyone has the templates these days. So I cannot say you cannot have the template.
Yeah.
Everyone has the template, but whatever template you guys are having, just make sure that you guys are following one institution template religiously and just follow that itself. Now it brings back me to this thing where I actually wanted to highlight that whatever the template you guys are following on YouTube videos, I would say, whenever we are watching the YouTube video, you just type PT and you have like thousands of videos on YouTube. So the first thing that you guys have to understand, and this is with experience, and this is from many of the students I got this feedback, that they don't show you exactly how everything works in the exam. For example, the templates, and I have so many examples of that. They don't tell you exact template. They will give you different template to their students, and they're going to give you different template, or like on the YouTube video, they're going to post it on the YouTube video. So just be careful with that and just follow one institute's template religiously.
And guys, we're being very fair here. We're not promoting EnglishWise software at all. We ourselves believe that the official Pearson mock test is something that you should really attempt. And probably the closest one to the PT score. With the templates, I also agree with what you said. There's always a marketing element, and that's not just others, but including us. There's always a business angle to YouTube videos, a lot of content, and it's not just our industry but across industries. So I feel it's important that you have someone who will open up the full book and give you the complete information. And how I can frame this is that there's no free lunch in the world. Like, you got to pay for the actual, real and latest information. Most of the students always go for free material, free softwares. What are your thoughts on that? Is it a bad idea to start from there, like as a starting point, or you should go straight to the coaching classes?
That's a very tricky question, I would say, because, see, I was also a student at some point. I would say you won't believe, I gave the PT exam back in 2015, where there was no coaching, no templates or whatever. We used to get a particular green color book. So someone who was given the PT, the PT book, the booklet, and they used to give us the CD as well, so that we can listen to their recording and understand. There was no template or whatsoever. Now, when that was a free thing that I got, and with the help of that, I actually gave the test and I got the score to come to Australia, basically.
But you had a free information, but from an official source.
Yes, that's right. So there you go. So you need to get the free information from the official website. that is the most reliable thing. Now we have seen many TikTok videos. Usually people just post the screenshot of the template and they say, oh, this is this with this template I got 79 plus, you use this, you're going to get 79 plus. I had the student, he showed me, madam, this with this template can I get 79 plus? I was like, hell no, you will not get it. Okay, so don't follow into don't just glide into those things that okay, one person is getting it and I follow, I will also get it. That's not how it's going to work.
I'm little confused here because there's one saying that you follow one template, like you follow one institution or one YouTuber, and then you don't worry about others, like don't mix.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, can that particular template work for everybody? So let's say there are 50 students out there and they follow one institution or one YouTuber or one particular source. Can all those 50 students use the same template? Is it going to work for them? And how do I identify that this is for me, whereas this is not for me?
There comes to our previous discussion that we had based on different nationalities, where I usually alter the template based on their the way they speak and the problem that they have, whether they can create sentences or not. So we usually have two types of template. One is if you are good in I usually ask them, are you good in creating simple sentences, compound sentences, or complex sentences? They say, okay, I'm good in creating simple sentences. Okay, then I'll give you this template. I'm not good in creating simple sentences. There you go. You get another template. So we have different types of template based on the person's level. Now coming back to this thing where
I get it. So there are different versions, but stick to one tutor or the institute or
that's right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then on the day of the test, it's an important day. You do get nervous. We were nervous before starting the podcast. So how do you handle the nervousness, and what can go wrong on the test, in the test? And then if something goes wrong, how do you handle that situation?
Okay. So the first thing is whenever you've booked your exam, always check where you're going to the center. Okay, so before the exam, I usually talk to my students. This because I've already been to that center, so I usually say this is the center. The first thing that you guys have to remember, you guys have to take passport. Without passport, no entry. Okay, so I usually tell them this thing because I had this one student, she didn't told me that she didn't had passport at that time, but she was like, okay, she's gonna anyhow get inside that. But as soon as she reached the center, they told her that no entry. So her $445 gone.
You can't just take your license. It's a non-negotiable. Right. Has to be a passport.
That's right. So the first thing is passport. Then always find the parking beforehand. So one day prior, just have a look where you guys need to park the car and reach like 30 to 45 minutes before, like prior to your exam date, exam time, exam time. So for example, your 10 a.m. exam is there. So reach over there at least 9:15 to 9:30. Now, when you reach over there, just have a look at the surrounding and everything. Just if you want to use the washroom, just use the washroom. And then after that, you have to reach to the reception. Once you reach to the reception, they will ask you your ID. They will do the palm scan. By the time you're like, of course, there will be other students at the same time. I've been to that situation, and trust me, the situation is not nice. Because I would say the vibe matters, right?
Yeah,
so the vibe, the vibe, the environment over there is not pleasant at all. People are nervous over there, and many people usually go with usually log into their software and they practice over there itself, and that will make anyone nervous.
That's exactly what we discussed in the last podcast. So I was interviewing my team in Perth, and one of the trainers mentioned that you don't practice on the day of the exam. Like some students, they're doing mock test in the morning, like 6 a.m., 7 a.m. for the exam, which is in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts?
No, you should not do the mock test before your exam. So for example, if you have the exam in the morning at 10 a.m., don't do anything like early in the morning. Don't get up early in the morning, and don't do any practice. If you're like nervous, just read through the templates once or twice, and that's it. Because whatever the base was to be created is already created. Yeah, like just 1 hour before the exam is not going to give you anything. So of course, as I said, the environment is not pleasant out there, and we are nervous, and it's natural. So I don't say to my student, don't be nervous. No, that's a stupid thing to say. So of course, that's exam environment. We are nervous. That's totally fine. What I used to do, I'll tell you.
Yeah, please.
This may sound stupid, but that actually worked with me when I was a student. One day before the exam, I used to do the meditation just for 1 or 2 minutes. I used to just visualize about that scenario wherever I'm sitting. I'm doing my test like brilliantly out there. I'm doing great. I'm not having any issues. But sometime unforeseen circumstances actually comes in the exam. We don't have control over it, no matter like how much preparation you do. Yeah. Now, what are the unforeseen circumstances? First thing is you might forget your passport. So that could be the unforeseen circumstances. Many people actually come across with this as well. So always keep your passport in your bag 1 day before the exam, I would say. The second thing that usually people come across is the technical difficulties. Now, what are the technical difficulties? The first thing is microphone problem in the exam. Now, many centers might have the microphone issue. So, especially with our Canberra exam center, they usually have this microphone issues every now and then.
Right.
So, what I usually say to students is, whenever you guys are actually checking your microphone, don't just say testing, 1, 2, 3.
Right.
No. Just read 2 to 3 sentences from the screen and check that whether the microphone is working properly or not. The second thing that I usually say, the microphone placement is very, very important. If you're placing the microphone close to your mouth, you will end up getting 10 or 20 score.
Wow.
Yes. So many students actually got this score. That's how I came to know them. Yeah, I was like, where was your microphone placement? Over here? Because the administrator told us, keep the microphone close to your mouth. I don't know what type of administrator that was, but usually administrators don't say about this. They usually say that this you have to place it parallel to your jawline or put it over here. Right. They usually say these 2 positions, but I don't know what happened with him or her. So that was the case. And so what you have to do is you have to check your microphone. If the microphone is not working, raise your hand, let them know. See guys, you guys have given $445. They have to do it with you. Don't feel shy. Many people actually feel shy to ask anything out there. The next problem can be they give you the marker to write down the notes. If you don't scribble and check, then you get panic. You are doing your retail lecture, you're not able to take down the notes. Then that's like a whole lot of blunder out there. Now, the next thing is if the repeat sentences, sometimes I had with this student, his repeat sentences didn't work. So the audio was not working properly. Now, at that time, what I should do. Now, you guys have to make sure that you guys raise your hand, let them know this was the technical issue. The previous repeat sentence didn't work. Okay. Now, they will give you 2 options. They will start the test, like for example, with the previous repeat sentence, or they will give you the option, you can just finish your test and you can go and we will give you the case number. I would say go for the second option. Okay. Take the case number from them. Do not come out without taking the case number from them. You have to lodge a complaint. Okay. When you lodge the complaint and when you get the case number, they will give you 1 free PT exam because that was the technical issue that happened from their end.
This is such a useful piece of information. Thank you so much for sharing this. Yes. I am pretty sure not many students are aware of what to do in this particular situation when there's a technical
technical issue. And I'll tell you, many students out there, what they usually do is whenever they face any technical issue, after they finish the test, they usually call me, ma'am, what should I do? I give,
it's too late.
Yeah, I tell them, okay, now even you're at the center, just tell them, okay, this was the issue. Okay, ma'am, we'll let you know. And what they get the result. And then they say, madam, I faced that technical issue. Now I can lodge the case. That thing is gone.
Yeah.
You know, if there is any technical issue, you will not get your desired score. That is 100%. You have to lodge the complaint over there itself.
Right.
Yeah. If you think that you're going to think about it, come home and decide, that's not how it's gonna work.
Yeah, I mean, makes so much sense. Like, it's not a cheap test. For $45, guys, you have the right to make sure that the center is conducive to give a proper exam. So I think you have all the rights in the world to make sure that everything is working and bring out the issue and not be shy of the situation. You know how earlier we were talking about the mock test, like don't do it in the morning on the exam day. But since we were talking about the mock test, how many mock tests are good enough? Like in our diamond package, we have about 30 mock tests. So, and I never asked this question to any of our trainers, does the student really need to do all those 30 mock tests? If yes, then how long it's going to take? If not, then how many are enough?
See, I usually recommend to students based on their level and need, what is their level and how much score they require. So usually I would say with 80 students, 2 mock tests in a week, like it's fine. You can do 2 mock tests in a week if their level is great. Then comes to 65 each. I usually tell them like 3 mock tests in a week you should do. But if someone's level is not that great, then I usually recommend them 4 to 5 mock tests in 1 week you guys need to do. So every alternate day, just make sure that you guys do the mock test. So it's not compulsory to do, like, there are like thousands of mock tests out there. So it's not compulsory to do all the mock tests. Of course, you're not going to get the questions from the mock test. That is just for your practice and for your understanding that, okay, I have done this mock test and that's how it will be in the exam. The questions will be different. I usually tell them just to, so that they're not nervous, they're less nervous in the exam. Yeah.
So if we're looking at 65 plus, then maybe 3 to 4 mock tests, that's about 8 hours plus the classes or some sort of learning. How should they organize all of this? They got to study, go to work, then they might be enrolled in a professional year course. You got PTE on top of that.
Yeah.
I feel a lot of students, just thinking about it, get overwhelmed and they don't even start. Is there an easy way out? Is there a way you can start preparing for PTE without feeling the burden of it?
Yes, you can. So there comes one thing, that there is no generalized template for anyone. If someone is giving generalized template, just don't follow. Then you're at a wrong place. So I would say that what I usually do with all my students, whenever they come in for the consultation, they have their uni, they have their work, and they need to do PTE. They need to do work like 24/7 because they need money and they need to pay out rent and everything. I usually ask them, instead of asking them what is their availability, I usually ask them, tell me your daily schedule. Like, what is your daily schedule? And like, when you go to uni, when you go to work, what time you have. Based on that answer, I actually create a schedule for them. Okay. And once we sat and once we create the schedule, I send the photo to the student. Look, this is your schedule and this is the thing that you have to follow if you want to get your desired score as soon as possible. Yeah. So people out there who are like, I need to get the desired score ASAP, I need to get my PR, they're willing to do anything basically, but they just need guidance. They just need the right hand that they can follow. So I would say that we actually create the schedule for the student, that you have to follow this thing and rest everything else will fall into place.
Right. So basically seek for help when you are overwhelmed, you don't know how you're going to prepare for PTE. then a coach or a mentor might help you to schedule, your life
Yes.
and work and PTE.
Yeah.
Ruby, what's the single biggest issue that you've seen with students when it comes to PTE? Like, what's the single most important or the biggest reason they fail in PTE? Like, you've taught more than 3,000 students.
Yes. So I would say with the almost like the students who don't get the desired score, first thing, lack of interest. Like they have given the test one time and then after that they're not interested anymore and they don't want to give it another try and they are not ready to accept that they have done something wrong. That's the main thing.
Not accepting.
Yes, not accepting that they have done something wrong. And they usually say, ma'am, I have done speaking really well and I didn't get like even 65. I used to get 80. Look, you have done something wrong. That's why you got that score. It's not like that's a huge difference. People who are aiming for 50, ma'am, I did speaking, not even one hesitation, ma'am. Like I did really, really well. Yes, I did really, really well. But I got 13 speaking. How it is possible? So back in my mind, I know how it is possible, but I would say
right.
So, but they're not ready to accept it. You know what I mean? So accepting that you have made a mistake, that is the most important. And people who accept it, they usually get it. That then after a few attempts, they usually get the score then.
So not accepting your mistake could be the single biggest reason why you're not getting your score in PTE. Right. Very interesting conversation so far. I'm really enjoying. I wish that when I did PTE, I had someone like you who could give such sort of advice. I had to go through multiple attempts myself. I'm not sure about you, but I feel that there's a lot of information out there. Some of it is not so valid and some of it is really useful. So there's a situation where students have come across these tips. We're not talking about templates here. Tips and strategies. Like there is a certain strategy for speaking, read aloud, or for summarized written text. How do you figure out which one's really good, which one's working, and which one you should really pick up? Because there are few and they may feel comfortable with all of them or they may not feel comfortable with any of them. So what do you do in that situation?
So whenever this thing comes in, wherever they have followed these tips, I usually know whether it is a stupid tip or not. Because if it is, there was this one rumor that was going on that in writing, if you're using a lot of backspace, then you're not going to get score in writing. And of course, that's not how it's gonna work, right? So usually that's not that's not a good rumor itself. So I knew that this thing is not. If it is like not irrational thing that they're talking about, I know that this thing is not going to work, because this thing comes back when I gave the PD exam back in 2015. I did it in my first attempt, but after that for my PR, I gave several attempts. I didn't crack it in my first attempt. So when I studied the strategy or the templates at that time, and when I saw the other people using that strategy and template, what thing worked and what thing didn't work, I knew that what will work for me. You know, I knew at that time. And coming across to so many students and seeing if one student is saying this tip is working, if another student this tip is not working, the person who has already given the test, they didn't get the score. That means, of course, that tip is not working at all.
So you can validate with the score.
Yes.
Then you know if it's going to work or if it's good enough to use.
Yes, right.
What's the most silly thing you can do in the exam and lose scores? Like the most silly thing. Like you are in the exam, you're on the screen doing stuff, like something so little
that's going
but
to
can
impact
have a huge impact on your score.
by clicking the next question 2 times. Usually people are panic over there, like they're nervous over there. They don't know what to do. And sometimes they are so stressed out. By mistakenly, they click next 2 times and they miss one question. Now, for example, if you're doing read aloud, one question is worth of 15 points, 1-5. So if you're pressing 2 times, 15 points are gone. So yeah, that's the thing that they should actually be really careful.
And some students have started to ask about the difference between IELTS and PTE, because now IELTS also has a computer-based test. Do you still feel PTE is a better test, or IELTS is also a good option? Is there someone out there for whom PTE may not work? Have you come across any student
that's
like
actually
that?
a very good question. I myself have given IELTS computer-based test as well.
All right.
So I know the difference between that, the paper-based, the IELTS, and the computer-based IELTS test. I've come across these students. Now, with PTE, if you don't have a right pitch, then you will not get the score. Unfortunately, that's the problem. And I came across, like, I would say 3 to 5 students out there. They're speaking amazing, writing amazing, reading amazing, listening amazing, but in speaking they used to not get the score just because of the pitch. They used to get in the Pearson mock, but they used to not get in the exam.
What is this pitch?
For example, a male pitch and a female pitch. Okay, so there should be a certain limit for the male pitch and certain limit for the female pitch. Okay. Now, even if your pitch is fine, but your voice is not good, that's not going to give you the score. For example, a male, it needs to have a high pitch and a very sharp voice. Now, I had this student, his voice was like this. There is a picture in front of me. Okay, so that was, I'm sorry, but but his, like, I'm just giving you an example.
Isn't it a sharp?
No.
This is not sharp.
Yeah, this is not sharp.
How would you categorize this?
So I usually tell them to change their voice. Now, how? It needs to come from the throat. Okay, so it needs to be sharp. There is a picture in front of me. I've got 40 seconds to talk about this picture. This thing. Okay, so I'm just.
So do you make up, or like
I tell them? Okay, and one student had the high pitch.
Yeah.
I told him to speak like you know how girls usually speak. There is a picture in front of me. I've got 40 seconds to talk about this picture, and it usually worked. The people used to laugh, but it worked for them. They got the score. But for some people, it didn't work out because of the pitch itself, and I actually reckon them to go ahead, because they spend so much time and money in like doing PT back to back, and of course they are frustrated, they want to get the score. Then they just did 1 month of training. Their like level was amazing, so they just did 1 month of training and they got the score in IELTS. So I would say that not for everyone it will work out. There are like thousands of students over there. Not for everyone it will work out. So if you have given like 20-30 times, like, you know, you're speaking, you're not getting the score. Writing, reading, listening, you can easily judge. But with speaking, you're good in speaking and you're still not getting it, then you need to change and go for IELTS. That's my suggestion based on my experience. But of course, everyone's suggestion will be different.
Yes. You know, from last 10 years, what really hurts me and my biggest pain point is that students leave this test until the last moment. They don't want to prepare when they have time. Why do you think this is the case, and what can be done in this situation? Like, what would be your advice to students so that this pattern changes? Because we know on an average students sit for PT exam about 4 to 5 times.
Yeah,
from my experience, it's not from some data that I've read on Google. Like, this is our internal data. So we know that most of the students do end up wasting time and money. There are very rare number of students who take classes before they go for the first attempt. So why do you think this is the case, and what can be done to fix this?
I think so you should asking these questions to students out there.
I've been asking, but I never got a
answer.
See,
we have talked about this. Like, students out there, they're busy and they're not, able to spend some time. Now, people have this misconception out there that they need to spend like 5 to 7 hours every day, like for PT, because they have changed everything and it's more harder than previously. And now many people are not getting the score. So they have this misconception they need to study for 5 to 7 hours. And because of that, they don't want to get started, first of all. So if you tell me I'm working full time, if you tell me study for 5 to 7 hours, I would say, hell no, I don't want to study. So until it comes to that moment where I need to do the exam for my migration purposes, for PR, TR, or whatsoever, then I will take that step. Now, we have to understand one thing. There's only one suggestion that I would like to give to everyone, and this I give to all my students.
Yep.
I'm not telling you to study for 10 hours. I'm not telling you to study even for 2 hours. I'm just telling you, whenever you're traveling, okay, just start from somewhere. Okay?
Yeah.
You cannot do read aloud on the road, or you cannot do anything on road. But you can do one thing. You just go to YouTube, listen to repeat sentence, listen to write from dictation, listen to grammar rules out there. Just listen something while you are traveling.
That's
so
great
that
advice.
You are in touch with your PT.
Yeah.
Now, many students also say to me, Madam, repeat sentences, oh my God, that's very long. I'm not able to repeat. And people practice for one day and they say, Madam, I have problem in repeat sentences. Okay, first thing, you need to be patient. What you have to do is, whenever you're traveling, even whenever you're going by car or by bus, instead of browsing through Facebook and Insta and TikTok, I would suggest listen to repeat sentences or dictation 15 minutes. That's going to improvise your repeat sentences dictations to a great extent.
And then you guys can go back to your Insta, Facebook.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. So start from somewhere.
Yeah.
You don't need 5 to 7 hours of practice. I would say that's the old school thing. You just need to study in a very smart way.
Yeah, strategic and smart.
Yeah.
And would like to now come to a bit of technical stuff. What question is really important in the exam? You can talk about questions as well. Maybe we can start with the most important question, followed by 2 more questions which can really impact your overall score in PTE. And what's the best way to approach them? Like, just if you can talk about some really important stuff when it comes to the content.
I feel like, Shivi, people know what are the important questions these days, because there are so many YouTube videos. People have all the knowledge whatsoever is required, but they need to understand this. Some people out there also don't have that much of knowledge because they are into the rumors, that don't know which question will carry what points or what not. I would say you have all the templates whatsoever is required. You just follow 2 modules for me. That is speaking and listening. Speaking and listening is going to cover 3 modules at once.
Right.
Speaking is going to cover speaking, reading, and listening. Listening is going to cover listening, writing, and reading. Writing is going to cover only writing and reading. Reading is going to cover only reading and writing. Okay. Now, coming back to the very first module, that is speaking. There are, for example, let's say read aloud. Now, many people have this option of going, like, studying the entire paragraph and going for one-line strategy as well. Now, I would say both of the strategies work. It depends how you perform it. If you're using the one-line strategy, there are particular rules to follow. If you're not following that rule, you will end up getting very low score in short speaking. Okay, so you need to first understand which strategy you need to follow based on your level itself. Okay, then comes repeat sentences, which is like very, very important. That covers your speaking and listening part. So with that, now many people have this misconception that repeat sentence, very long sentence, how to memorize. Of course, that's a memory game. For the score that you guys desire, you guys just need to repeat 50 to 70% of the content.
Right.
You don't need to repeat 100%. See, anyone can repeat short sentence 100%. That's not the problem. The problem arises whenever there is a long sentence.
Yes.
Right? So for that, in that case scenario, you just need to repeat 50 to 70% of the context. That's it, in repeat sentences. Then comes your describe image and retell lecture.
Sorry, can I ask you something? So if you are covering only 50 to 70% in the long repeat sentence, do you still get full marks?
You get the points towards your speaking and listening as well. Okay, now you get points based on the percentages. If you speak 80 to 100%, you get 3 out of 3 in content, which is transferable to your listening.
Right.
If you speak little bit less, that is 50 to 80%, you get 2 out of 3. If you speak less than 50%, you get 1 out of 3. So for the score that we desire, that's easily scoreable. We can repeat 50 to 70% of the content easily. So you guys don't need to repeat short sentences, of course. Yes, you have to repeat 100%. I'm talking about the long sentences especially. You guys don't need to repeat like 100% of the content for the long sentences. Then comes your describe image and retell lecture. Now, guys, templates have changed in describe image and retell lecture. If you guys are still using I can see, forget about it. You're not going to get the score. So you guys need to change the template. Whatever template you guys are using, just make sure that you guys are using phrases itself. Okay, it should come out naturally. Then comes the retell lecture. The template for retell lecture has changed. Then comes the answer short questions. It is just like general knowledge based question. So even if you know the answer, you can say the answer. If you don't know the answer, you can repeat any keyword from the question. Just don't keep quiet over there. So, but nowadays you might have heard many people are not getting score in speaking and writing.
Yes.
Yes. Why that is the case, that we have to understand, and this is a great opportunity where everyone can actually understand why they are not getting the score. So in speaking, what they have actually changed is, if your fluency is not same from read aloud till retell lecture, you will not get your desired score. So your speed and the way you speak, it needs to be same throughout. And for example, read aloud repeat sentences, naturally we are speaking very slowly because we don't need to, we haven't memorized any template. But describe image and retell lecture, because we have memorized the template, we tend to speak very fast and there are no natural pauses.
Yes.
So if you are among them that you have used the new template and you're still not getting the score in speaking, it's because of this. You have to take natural pause after every sentence. And you have to make sure that you speak naturally. If you're speaking like this, furthermore, important information about keyword 10, 20 and 30. That's the gap that you are telling the AI that I'm using the keyword. You should not let the AI know that you're using something as a keyword. You have to let them know that you're speaking as a phrase, something in describe image and retell lecture. Only then you will get the points in speaking. Now coming back to writing, why many people are not getting the score in writing. And if you're among those who are not getting score in extended writing, it's because you're using the template. Like some people say, me, ma'am, I have used 100% of the template, but still didn't get the score. It's because the content is not related. Okay, so the topic, for example, the essay question that they have given you is not related, and that's why you didn't get the score. So the context should be related based on the essay question. I'll give you one example. This is one of the most common essay questions that people usually get. It's about the study of climate change. Okay, and they say choose a study of climate change. They have specifically asked you to choose a study on climate change.
Right.
Now, what people have done is they have actually just written on climate change. They didn't pick a field on climate change. And if you're not writing in relation to the content, you will end up getting 0 for that question.
Okay. And
Yes.
can it have an impact on something else too?
No, only writing
Okay,
or extended writing. So if you're using all the updated templates and still not getting the score, this is probably the mistake that you're making. So what you need to do in that case scenario. So for example, this was the question, choose a study on climate change. You have to elaborate that. You have to choose a study. For example, a study of climate change on ocean. That ocean is actually giving the AI the indication that it's about the climate change. You know what I mean? So that's how it should be done. If the context is not related to the essay question, it will not give us the points at all.
Right. Thank you so much. It's like a little masterclass that you're giving away. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think it's a great content.
Yeah.
Your 5 years of experience, everybody gets to see in like 10 minutes. So guys, please share this video if you are finding it useful, valuable, and you think that it can help others as well. Please subscribe to the channel as well. It will help you and your friends as well. And we are striving to bring more and more content and experts on the panel so that you can prepare for your test in the shortest amount of time possible. Sorry to cut the flow, but I would like you to continue with listening. I think that's probably the module we're left with now. So anything on listening, which you can summarize and
Sure. So in listening, you guys need to work on, I would say, 4 questions in total. That includes your summarized spoken text, listening, fill in the blanks, highlight incorrect words, and dictations. Summarized spoken text, I would say it covers with the template. So that's not the issue at all. But listening, fill in the blanks, highlight incorrect words, and dictations, guys. If these 3 question sets are not done properly, then you will not be getting your desired score. It's simple as that. So
like not getting 79 plus,
not getting
65?
79 plus, not getting 65 plus.
Right.
I usually tell students to aim for 100% whenever they are practicing. It's better. If they're getting 100% over here, they're going to get 80% in the exam. But if they're getting 50% over here, like at the center, they're going to get like 40-30% correct in the exam. So that's not the point. If you want the very high score, 100% should be your goal. Whatever you're practicing, that is listening, fill in the blanks, highlight incorrect words, and dictations. And I would say that if your repeat sentences are good and if you're following my suggestion that you're listening to your repeat sentences and dictations every single day, even for 10 minutes, if you're following that, dictations will not be the issue. Then comes highlight incorrect words. Highlight incorrect words are very easy. So I don't think so that could be the issue. Now coming back to listening, fill in the blanks, that is also possible if you work on your spellings. That is the most important thing. So if you work on your spellings in listening, fill in the blanks, you can manage to get high score. In dictations, now many people ask me whether we can add extra words in dictations or not. Now we can add extra words. That's not the problem. What type of extra words? If they said anything singular, for example, material, you can write materials as well. So if they said is, you can write are as well. If they said a, you can write the as well. If they said has, write have, had as well. So you can write singular, plural, you can write pronouns extra, you can write the articles extra. So that's not the issue at all. That will not deduct your point in any way.
Right. Yeah. That's a really good tip. My last question for today's podcast: how do I know that I'm ready for the test? Now, I believe most of the trainers would advise to go for a mock test, and that's how you can have a good idea that if you are ready for the test or not. 2 questions within this question. Which mock test? There's EnglishWise, there's few more than there's Pearson. You did mention that Pearson one is a mock test, which is quite genuine. You must sit for that mock test. But then when do I really know that I'm ready for the test? How many of them do I need to do so that I am really sure that I'm going in for the test and I will get the score most likely?
That's actually a very good question, but my way of thinking is little bit different in that
Right.
perspective. When I am ready, okay, I'm waiting for your, like for example, if you're aiming for 65, I'm waiting for your 70, when you will get 70. People delay those things. If people don't have the date in their mind, they will delay the things, they will delay the practice. So I would say whenever the student comes in, I get to know their level. After 2 to 3 weeks, I tell them, I'm not telling you to book for next day or the week after. Just book 1 month after your exam. At least you have that date in your mind and you will work towards
Goal
it.
set.
Trust me, Shivi, it works wonders for them. They
Right.
actually make sure that they practice every single day. And as soon as the date comes in, I have seen people, they usually tell me, whenever they start the course, they usually tell me, I don't have time for this PT and I'm working. But before the exam, they take 2 weeks of leave from their work so that they sit at the center and they study and they can do plenty of mock tests before the actual exam.
Is that a good approach? Like full leave from work, or
See, it depends on people's preference and needs
Yeah.
as well. So I cannot, force anyone to,
But would
take
you
leave-
suggest?
take leave from work or whatsoever. But if you haven't prepared at all and your
yeah.
exam is near, then yes, why
Yeah,
not?
yeah.
But if you're preparing for a very long time, you know everything, you have been practicing, you just need to do the mock like after every alternate day, then that should work. Then you don't need to take any leave from work at all. As I mentioned, you don't need to study 10 to 12 hours every single day to get your desired score. You just need strategic planning, and with that, you can get the score.
Yeah, very practical advice. Thank you so much,
Thank you
Ruby.
so
I
much.
personally enjoyed the podcast.
Me too.
I learned quite a few things about PTE myself. And I think most of the things you spoke about are real, coming from your experience, seeing so many students going for the test. And I genuinely feel that these strategies or your tips, what you have shared in the podcast today, will work for our students in the exam.
Yeah, hopefully. And if you guys like me, if you guys liked whatever we discussed today,
We'll bring
just
it back.
let us know in comments. I'm like willing to come back.
Yeah, we would love to host you again.
Yes.
Ruby. Thank you so
Thank
much
you
once
so much,
again.
Shivi. Thank
We'll
you.
see you soon. Thank you.
Yes, sure. Thank you.